What's up, boys? Ludideo here with the Shadow Priest PvP guide. It is done. 11 challenge, 0 to elite, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Trying to do every single DPS to elite. You guys voted for this as the first one. Honestly, I did not expect this much love for the Shadow Priest. I'm not gonna lie, one of my favorite casters. I love it. I've never played it to elite. This is my first time ever. And it was fun. It was fun and it was tough. I'm not gonna lie. Super tough. And here we are, guys. Okay, guys. Before we get going, I just want to say one thing. Huge respect and love for the Shadow Priest mains. This is a tough spec. It is very intense since you have 0 mobility. It's probably the second hardest caster in the game after like Arcane Mage. I just love the spec. It's tough, but it's rewarding and it's fun. And you have to think about, you have to think about a lot of things. Let's get going. So let's get going with the guide. So first things first, guys. Which race should you play? Now, depends which faction you want to play. Let's start with that. Obviously, Alliance will be better. Just saying that at the start, because it has 2 best races, which are Void Elf and Night Elf. In my opinion, Void Elf is the best, because Shadow Priest has no mobility, right? It has no mobility except a feather. So, having a teleport away, that's big. Night Elf is good because the Shadow Meld is pretty good ability, Other than that, you get 1% haste, right? On the ratio or crit. High Mountain Tauren is not bad for the Horde. Other than that, guys, I mean, Forsaken could work for Fears if you play against casters. Everything else is okay, nothing great, But then again, I think you can reach elite with anything. The race doesn't play that huge of a role if you're not pushing for rank 1. If you're pushing for rank 1, you probably go Void Elf or Night Elf, honestly. Other than that, play whatever you want, right? Now, guys, gear. What are we running here? Well, I'll show you. So we're in combat. We're running full haste. Look at this. 25.7k haste. That's a lot. Full haste verse, right? Pretty much nothing mastery or crit. This is just from the tier set. I'm running 4 set. I'll go slowly through the gear if you want to copy paste something. Now, what is different about my gear? First, I'm running Oathsworn Tenacity on my weapon because, it gives you some versatility, so you're kind of more tanky. Because I've noticed I've been playing against a lot of triple melee lobbies. I was like, what the hell's going on, guys? Like, I played 10 melees now in a row, and I haven't seen a single triple melee lobby, and now I'm getting like DK, Warrior, and Red Paladin lobbies all the time. So instead of Radiant Power, I'm running this. Helps a little bit with the beefiness, Other than that, guys, nothing unusual. Now, I think that's it for the gear. So let's talk about the actually main thing. Hero talent tree, guys. Which hero talent tree? Before I started with the Shadow Priest, I had 0 idea, right? And I looked up and I only seen Void Weaver build guides. So I did, Archon is completely my own build. Didn't see it anywhere. And this is what I made it to elite with. I did play Void Weaver as well for the maybe 40% of my games. My first 40% of the games were Void Weaver. I got to around 2.3. And I was like, okay, I want to try Archon a bit, you know? And honestly, I like Archon more. Okay? So, I'll do both builds. I got to Elite with Archon to rank 192. Not too bad. So, let's get going. We'll start first with Archon. Okay, boys, we're starting actually with the left talent tree. Then we'll do Archon, and then we'll do Void Weaver right tree, right? So, left tree is general for both hero talents. Hero talents. So, all of these you see now are essentials. You will never change them. Everything you see here now, essentials. Now, I'll go into optionals, what's good and what sucks, okay? So this is useless, don't even think about it, okay? No point, you know, whatever. Now, I personally run this just because, you know, I have to put my points somewhere. It's not, it's kind of, you know, very mid. It's not really good, but you have to put your points somewhere, okay? Now, where you could put your point is Mind Control. Amazing ability, amazing ability. Why I don't do that is I'm just kind of full on keybinds, guys. And since I'm playing this spec for like 2-3 days only, I know, I'm like, I'm not gonna even play around with it, but it's an amazing ability. If you wanna main Shadow Priest, definitely go with this, because it's such a good ability, but I just didn't wanna, you know, play around with it. I just went with this instead. Okay, now these are whatever, bad. This is for healing, right? This is okay, reducing mana, cost of purge, purify, right? There are a few occasions where I got out of mana, right? So if I had this would help. I really like this ability and I am running it sometimes, okay? So I like this one. Now, a lot of people are running this too. It's 30-second reduction, so which means you can pull every 1 minute. Now, I think this is amazing in 3v3, but in shuffle, guys, you are almost always the target, so this is kind of pointless. This is good if you're playing with a Warlock, because he will be the target. But you know, if you're playing with a Warrior, with stuff like that, it's a dead talent, right? All of this is weak, right? Nothing great. So, only 1 point here, guys, that I put. So, you could put it here, 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 here. All good 4 points, right? Oh, I just want to mention this. This is optional, right? Depends on the matchup. You're playing against magic damage dealers, you go this. You're playing against warrior, you're going this, right? Or hunter, whatever. Now, I go this because it just gives you, look, 2% less damage by the enemies affected by the Shadow Word Pain. Is it that good for 2 points? Probably not. But since I don't think this is good in shuffle, that great if you're not playing with Warlock, and I don't want to play with Mind Control, I might as well go with this, you know? So, actually, you know what? I think this is better. This is kind of not great. I would actually rather run this, because I love to purge, okay? So this is my left tree. Now, let's get going into the Archon talents. Okay, so mid tree, Archon, didn't really change anything here, guys. We are, I mean, these two are optional, let's say. They could be changed. They're not, you know, amazing, set in stone, but they're by far better than the other options, in my opinion. This one is set in stone 100%. Now, right tree is where it gets a little bit tricky. Now, I will show you 2 builds. Okay, 2 builds. So we have 4 points which could go anywhere. I mean, not really anywhere. I have 2 builds that I created. I tried the third one as well, but I'm not going to mention it because it kind of sucked. So 2 builds. I played both of them equal time, and honestly, I didn't feel any difference in them. They were kind of similar. So first one is this. So once you Dark Ascension, you will have some more crit chance, and your Shadowy Operations will be doing more damage. So let's call this Shadowy Operation build. Solid, very passive damage, you know. Only thing with this is, you know, if you Dark Ascension and then you get kicked, well, this talent is kind of, you know, not that great. Now, but the strength of this build is Shadowy Operations, because, you know, you buff them by a lot. Now, the second build is completely different, but, you know, once again, I don't see any difference in damage or anything. Is this one. So, sorry. We have kind of 2 useless points, because it's Mind Blast, and on Arcan, Mind Blast is not important, really. Some minions last 20% longer, whatever. 15% damage, okay, not great. But the only thing while we are running this is for this, you get more Insanity, 50, and small buff to Devouring Plague. So this is the build I played latest, and I got to Elite with this, but this one works too. So you can try both of them. Look which one you prefer. I honestly preferred this only because I got more Insanity. Anything else I didn't even notice. Maybe it even does a little bit less damage because it's not buffing your Shadowy Operations, but just having more Insanity to me felt nicer. Now, that's it, guys, for Arcan. Let's move on to Void Weaver. Okay, guys, this is the Void Weaver build. So we don't pretty much change anything here either. You could change between these if you're playing against like a full, like a triple caster. Other than that, it's pretty much set in stone as well. Now, the right tree is this one. Usually, I did experiment a little bit with it, okay? And I'll show you the second thing I experimented with. So, I removed Shadow Crash damage for this because I noticed that this build, since this is buffing Vampiric Touch more, you can see here, it does more dot damage than the Arcan build. So I was thinking, okay, why are we not running this then, right? Makes sense to me. So this is the build I was running on Void Weaver. A little bit less Shadowy Operation damage. And I liked it. Now, I did experiment with one more thing, since I already removed Shadowy Operation damage. Experimented with one more thing, and this is these 2 talents. No one is running them. Honestly, they kinda suck. Especially this one. It's pretty bad. Okay? This one is not that bad. And you could go something like this, maybe. I did try to run it, but in the end I gave up on Void Weaver and just went Arcan. So, but I think it's doable, okay? So, let's say those are 3 builds I played with Void Weaver. They worked to 2.3 easily, but I believe they will work to 2.4 as well, if you want to stick with Void Weaver. Okay, now, let's get into PvP talents, okay? So, we have a lot of good PvP talents on Shadow Priest, a lot of good PvP talents. So, first one, obviously, Phase Shift, a must. This is so good, it's such an insane defensive, you need to play this, it's so good. Now, everything like these 2 will be optional, whatever, you know, depending on situation. Catharsis, me personally, I almost told, like 90%, 95% of the games, guys, I run Catharsis. Catharsis is so good. I mean, you'll always be the focus anyway. It gives you instant, no cast damage, right? It's so good, and it does a lot of damage. So 95% of the times, this is my pick. Now, this one you can go with a lot of stuff. This one sucks. Mind Trauma is, you can see I was running it last game, the most offensive one in my opinion. It's super offensive and it's hard to pull off. Siphoned is amazing, 50% guys healing reduction. This is, it's almost, you know, in dampening, you put Siphon down, target will die because healer won't be healing anything if they don't immediately kill the Siphon. So Siphon is probably my recommendation. Like these would be the top 3 for, in my opinion. But we have one more option, which is Cascading Horrors, which is pretty decent. It's pretty good, especially if you're having problems with, I don't know, it's you know, triple melee comp, or you know, monks, warriors. They're kind of annoying, right? This could give you some breathing room. Okay, my games I didn't even try because I mean all the other 3 are so good. So once again, Siphon top 1 probably. And Mind Trauma and Cascading Horrors are super good too. So Cascading Horrors I would say is a bit more defensive option. Mind Trauma is super offensive option. Siphon is just generally so good, right? Okay, so now let's get going with the opener DPS rotation. Okay guys, let's open with a Void Weaver. How do we do it? So let's say we're behind the wall, enemies are coming. We're gonna Halo just for the generation of insanity, and then we're gonna do our opener. Now, first things first is we can bait a kick with Vampiric Touch, and let's say in this imaginary situation, someone will fail a kick on us, so we can fully Void Torrent. Okay. In case no one kicks, you would want to cancel Void Torrent, so you don't get kicked on your Shadow School, which will kind of, you know, ruin your burst on the Void Weaver, right? So let's imagine this is how it goes. Okay, we're gonna Dark Ascend, we're gonna dot everyone up, we're gonna Siphon the kill target, and we're gonna Void Torrent fully. Okay, we're gonna dump our Devouring Plague and Void Blast off cooldown, and boom, that's it guys. 9, almost 10 million DPS, right? That's your opener pretty much. Crazy damage. Now, how much did that collapse do damage? 15 million divided by 3, you know, 5 million, pretty big. Now, as a Void Weaver, you would probably wanna, you know, if like the target is not in CC, if it's not slowed, so it can't get out of the Void, Entropic Rift, I mean, you would probably wanna cancel the Rift so it explodes earlier. If the target is stunned or, you know, unmovable, rooted, whatever, you can leave it. Depends on the class you're playing against, right? So, because it does a lot of damage, which is kind of surprising damage. And you can macro that with some other ability, like Catharsis, like, how is it called? The Void Volley, stuff like that, right? I'll show you that later. So this is pretty much our opener. Now, our damage prioritization will be a bit different. First, obviously, we wanna keep our dots on the targets, right? Both Vampiric Touch and Shadow Warp Pain. So we're gonna dot everyone up. That's our first priority. Then our second priority is Void Torrent. Void Torrent, and if we're getting near max Devouring Plague, we wanna Devouring Plague, right? Then we have Void Blast. And then we have Mind Flay Insanity. Okay? So, Devouring Plague, Void Blast, Mind Flay Insanity. Then we have normal Mind Blast. And then we have normal Mind Flay. Okay guys, now I'm gonna show you the Arcane opener. Very similar, just a few things, you know, you move around, you ascend first, then you halo. I'm gonna show you it now, and then I'll show you in-game, just one example how it looks like. So let's get going with that. So we're gonna ascend first, halo. Look at this damage, guys. Over 10 million DPS, right? Insane. We did 200 million damage in 20 seconds. Pretty good. Okay. So, now what's the priority? So, obviously, once again, we are keeping the dots up. Now, the second thing you wanna do is never overcap on your insanity with Devouring Plague. That's second. Third is your Mind Flayed Insanity this time, because for Archon, you don't have Void Blast, but you have Mind Flayed Insanity. So, dots, not overcapping on Devouring Plague, Mind Flayed Insanity, Devouring Plague, Mind Blast, normal Mind Flay. And obviously Void Torrent when it's off cooldown, right? Okay guys, defensives, utility, CC, stuff like that. Okay, so let's start with the most important thing for Shadow Priest, defensives. Because this will probably, you know, the biggest difference between a good priest and a bad priest, right? Since Shadow Priest has 0 mobility, our only mobility is a freaking feather, which does almost nothing. You need to know how to use your defenses properly, right? So, first things first, mobility, feather, you know, if you can get some distance, but who can you do this against? You know, every melee can stick to you, so this is kind of meh. Now, Fade, huge. Fade is amazing. This is your best ability because it's only 20-second cooldown, so you pretty much want to be pressing this off cooldown. Then we have 2 huge defensives. Dispersion, one of the best defenses in the game. It's so good because you can press it while you're stunned, right? You don't want to die while this is off cooldown, right? Then you fucked up. Now, Void Shift, guys. Another amazing ability. Game changer. Not just for you, but for your team, for your healer, for your DPS. You want to be looking out. Hey, do they need to get swapped, right? So, you will need to use this every game. You need to get used to using this, same as Leap, right? You need to learn to use both Leap and Void Shift for both your teammates. This is very important. More than that, Desperate Prayer, whatever, you know. It is what it is, it's not great, but helps a little. If you're gonna die, just press it, whatever. Now, Vampiric Embrace is better than it sounds, because it actually heals you as well. So it's a kind of a self-leech. Like the original self-leech. It's pretty good, but it also heals your teammate. So, very, very good ability. You want to be pressing this often as well. Other than that, guys, we don't have anything. Now, CC, guys, what you want to do is you want to usually stun into silence. That's a 6-second CC chain. Now, if you're playing on the lower ratings, you could stun into fear. It's dangerous, especially the higher you go, because the healers will be aware of this and they will not allow it. But if you're, you know, around 1.8, maybe even 2k, most of the healers won't, you know, react to that. So you can literally walk to them, stun them, fear them. Very good. Now, if you're playing against double melee, you could obviously save your fear for, I don't know, pets, you're playing against Unholy DK, stuff like that, because it will help you a lot to relieve the pressure. Now, the utility we talked about, Void Shift, Leap of Fate, amazing. You can feather your own teammate if he is being the focus, right? If he's being the focus. Now, You want to power infusion your other DPS. You're playing with a mage. Boom. You're both starting the burst. You power infusion him, right? What else do we have? We have Mass Dispel. Amazing spell. And we have Dispel Magic. So you want to be... If you have nothing to do, you can Dispel Magic enemy. Boom, boom. Now, Mass Dispel, guys. Insane ability. You can do so much with this. You can remove Ice Block. You can remove Bubble. You can remove Spell Bubble from Paladin. You can remove traps, hunters, cyclones, everything. Like, this removes everything pretty much. So it's insane. Now, that's it pretty much. We have actually, I forgot. Void Tendrils, very good if you're playing against a warrior. It's gonna piss him off because warriors hate getting rooted. So, if you're playing against warrior, Void Tendrils is really good. Okay? And that's it, guys. That's it. Now, compositions. Blitz, 2v2, 3v3. So I think Shadow Priest is even better in 3v3 than Shuffle, because in Shuffle you'll be playing against, you know, random comps, and most of the comps will not be in your favor, guys. Most of the comps will not be in your favor as Shadow Priest. But in 3v3 you are picking your teammate, right? You're picking your teammate. So Shadow Priest is, you know, play with anything, guys. It's like a Red Paladin of casters, you know, it's because it has utility. It's like a Red Paladin of casters. You can play with anything. Now, if you're gonna play with a melee, I would suggest to play some setup melee comp, maybe like a rogue, maybe like a feral, something like that. But me personally, I would prefer to play with a caster, another caster, because if you're playing with a melee, it's gonna be more, you know, tough, more miserable to play, because you will be the focus always. And if you're playing with the other caster, you know, you might not be the focus always. So if you're playing with a warlock, it's gonna be more fun to play, right? Than if you're playing with a melee. So I personally would play with warlock. I like even playing with mages. Those would be my top two, maybe. Especially warlock, guys. Warlock, Shadow Priest is scary. Now, 2v2 is tough for Shadow Priest, because he doesn't have a mortal wound except Scyfiend, which kinda is problematic. So either you're gonna play double DPS for fun, to like 2k, 2.1k, which works, or which you can do like with a rogue, with a red paladin, stuff like that. Or you're gonna play with a healer and maybe like a resto druid, you know, maybe a discipline void weaver priest. Not bad, because both of you will be blasting. They'll be like, hey, who am I gonna focus now? So that's that for 2v2. Now Blitz. I think in Blitz Shadow Priest is so good, because the teamfight damage is insane, right? Especially if you're playing Archon, your Halo will be pumping. Your Halo will be pumping a lot. And you're pretty good in 1v1. I mean, it's very tough to beat Shadow Priest in 1v1, guys. If you're not a rogue, you know, you're not a, maybe even like a feral is pretty good too. But other than that, you should win every 1v1. Because you have everything. Your toolkit is strong 1v1, okay? So in Blitz, you're great, because you can 1v1 and you can teamfight insanely. Only the mobility is the problem. You can't really, you know, move around the map. Okay, let's get into strength and difficulty. Oh guys, almost forgot the macros. So I have mouse over that, Shadow Word that macro. I have a mouse over heal macro. I have a mouse over Shadow Crash macro and Vampiric Touch. I have a cursor, feather, mass dispel. What else do I have? Cursor. Nothing, I think. I have Desperate Prayer with a Healthstone. I have Cancel Our Dispersion, Devouring Plague. I have Fade, stop casting. So, you know, if you're channeling, it's just gonna cancel the cast and fade, stuff like that, right? Leap for your teammates. Swap for your teammates. PI for your teammate. Then we have 1, 2, 3s. Mind control 1, 2, 3. We have enemy dispel 1, 2, 3. We have silence 1, 2, 3. We have stun 1, 2, 3. I have Void Rat when I'm playing Void Weaver combined with the Power Infusion. This is Shadow Form. I mean, you don't need macro for that, whatever. Torrent with Cancel Dispersion as well, nothing special. Now, this macro you could do like this. Cast, this is for Void Weaver, right? Cancel. Right? So if you're playing Catharsis, it's gonna cancel your Rift, which is gonna explode for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 million damage, plus your Catharsis, which will do, you know, I don't know, 2 million damage, whatever, how many you stored, right? So there's gonna be an instant burst, like a, you know, like an execute. That's how I would do it for the cancellation of Entropic Rift. Okay. Do I have anything else? That's nothing. No, not really, I think. And that's it, guys, for the macros. Now, add-ons, as always, what you need is... No, this is useless. Advanced interface is good. Run enemies for the Blitz. You need this, so good, right? Whatever. Flame Sword is pretty good, guys. Gladiator Lossa is amazing. Definitely recommend. You can hear if you don't see. These are all unimportant. Now we have Omni Auras or big debuffs, you know, that big CC on the nameplates. Omnibar for the enemy cooldowns. Omni CD for your party cooldowns. S Arena or Gladius for your arena frames. True stats, so you can see your stats. What you know, these things, right? And Vicoras, which are obviously advanced, and you'll have to research a bit for that, but it's getting removed anyway in a month, so who cares, right? That's it. Okay, guys, like always, doing strength and difficulty after reaching elite with the class. These are our previous classes, and now we're talking about Shadow Priest. So, I think Shadow Priest strength is really strong. Okay, I think it's really strong. Both Archon and Void Weaver. You'll see actually rank 1s prefer Void Weaver. To me personally, Archon felt stronger, but the better you get, Void Weaver will get Burr and Burr. Okay? So that's why I think Void Weaver is tough. So it's 9 out of 10 because you're the focus. If you're not the focus, this will get easier, way easier. It's not that hard. But since you're always the focus, that's what makes it hard, right? And Archon, I think, is 8 out of 10. It's a little bit easier because you have one ability less to press. You don't have to think about Entropic Rift, stuff like that. So out of all the challenges, I think this is the hardest one yet. Definitely. I would rate very hard. Okay? Shadow Priest is very hard spec. Okay, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something. And if you did, drop a like, drop a sub, and we are moving on to Warlock. I really enjoy the Shadow Priest. I love this spec so much. It's so fun. It's so nice. It's so... I really like it. Now, let's see how the Warlock is. I never got 2.5. I think 2.1 was max as my Warlock as well in the Season 1. When I was trying to reach Duelist on every spec. And haven't played this since. So, again, new experience, new elite title, hopefully. Hopefully I make it. Okay guys, once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.